Welcome back. At least 800 people in Uganda received fake COVID-19 vaccines last month from unapproved people as the country is battling a surge in cases from the ongoing fourth wave. The counterfeit jabs were administered over May and June during a deadly surge of the coronavirus in the East African nation, when new infections soared to record highs of about 1,700 cases per day. The fraudsters targeted people looking to pay for immunization, including corporate employees, at a time when vaccines were in short supply, said Dr Warren Naamara, the director of a health services monitoring unit under the presidency. The scammers charged recipients between $25 and $120 for a fake shot. Officials said the health ministry said that the government was providing free and approved COVID-19 jabs at a designated vaccination site. To give us an update on this, we are joined by Lwando, who is online to give us more update and details on this particular information. Good afternoon.
Hi, hello, how are you? Well, it's very interesting, that kind of news coming through from Uganda, and yes, very true. The State House Health Monitoring Unit here confirmed over the past few days that actually 800 people, mostly from private companies, that paid for this particular service. After samples had been collected, they were sent to the Serum Institute in India, of course the manufacturers of the AstraZeneca, and the confirmatory reports indicated that the samples there contained water and not the COVID-19 vaccine. Yes, it's indeed been a tough situation for many of those that received that to take. The authorities there say that 2 nurses have been arrested. The doctor who conducted this particular vaccination process is still on the run. The health, and like you had said, the health ministry here is still offering free vaccination. Currently, over 1.4 million Ugandans have so far received the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine, and the country and the ministry itself hopes to at least reach 21 million people by next year. So this particular incident has cast a bit of a dark shadow on this particular process and the campaign itself to ensure that several Ugandans are inoculated against COVID-19.
Now, this information is quite alarming as to the lengths to which some people will try to vaccinate. Is this an indication that there may be a shortage of vaccines in the country? Looking at the situation, that it will always, I'm pretty sure it will fade away the trust from whoever will come with a vaccine.
Well, it's definitely a fact that there's a shortage of vaccines, not just in Uganda alone, but across the continent, Africa, but particularly Uganda here. The first consignment of vaccines came through in March, and those were approximately over 960,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, those were used up by June. Another consignment of 175,000 doses came through for a donation from the French government there, and those are for now currently being used. So the number of people that have so far received is approximately 1.4 million, but the greater number of people that should be vaccinated is still waiting there. The waiting list is very, very, very long. So the government says they're working on all efforts to ensure that Uganda receives vaccines. They are looking at options of the Pfizer vaccine itself. They're also looking at options from China. Approximately 300,000 doses of the Sinovac vaccine shall be purchased from the Chinese government. So it's about picking several of the available vaccines from whoever is able to provide and ensure that at least a greater number of people are vaccinated, just to try and curb the numbers that are growing. And just to let you know that Uganda is, well, relatively coming to an end of a 42-day lockdown. The word has it that it could actually be extended, and this was because in the month of June the cases had actually hit a very had skyrocketed, approximately 1,000, average of 1,000 cases being reported every day. Now the ministry says that they have recognized a slight slump, a recognizable slump in cases, approximately 400 on average a day, and that of course is a commendable effort in trying to deal with a situation that had escalated and caused quite a lot of dangers for many of the Ugandans here.
Now, Leon, there have been reports of oxygen running out of hospitals due to the surge in COVID-19 cases. Has the situation been resolved for now?
The health ministry ran straight to dealing with this particular situation. Yes, there was inadequacies of oxygen a couple of weeks ago. That in itself has tried to be settled. There have been availability of cylinders, especially. The major case there was availability of cylinders. Those have been catered for, and several private companies that are manufacturers of medical oxygen have come in to provide this free of charge. And yes, so it's a case that has been properly dealt with, at least for now, and the ministry says that it will try and as much as possible over the next few weeks to try and install plants in the several regional hospitals that are trying to deal with the pandemic right now.
At the moment, how is the COVID-19 situation? Any sign of the numbers going down so far?
Well, Uganda, like I said earlier, is coming to an end of a 42-day lockdown. It's still very likely that that could be extended, and it's very appreciative of the fact that now the cases have actually come down compared to what it was in June. Currently, Uganda has a record of 91,000 cases since the first case in March, but the escalation and the greater part of it was in between May and June, and probably April as well of this year. Why? Entirely because people had relaxed on what are the basic standard operating procedures. Business had gone on as usual. So a 42-day lockdown, which many still felt was a bit tough, has tried to reduce on the numbers. A significant percentage reduction there coming through, as we're told by the Ministry of Health, an average of about 400 cases being reported every day. The deaths still remain around 2,300 and slightly over that, but at least the figures there still are reducing. So we actually expect that the cases may actually drop further. However, with the dynamics of the COVID-19, in case of reopening, which could presumably come at the end of this month, or even still at the end of a possible second lockdown, you really can't count much on which direction the numbers could go. So it's a precarious situation that Uganda is dealing with. However, it's one that they're doing their best as a government to manage.
Well, anything else that you'd like to add on before I let you go to our viewers? Anything else that you'd love to share?
Well, yes, Uganda, like several other African countries, are trying to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. It definitely has caused quite a lot of stress in several areas: tourism, the economy, agriculture, and the basic livelihood of people. Children are no longer in school. Businesses are not operating. Several people are struggling. People are working from home. Even still, at worst, many have lost their jobs. So for a country like Africa, for a continent like Africa and Uganda itself specifically, to try and recover from this kind of pandemic may take some time. However, several efforts are being put through. Loans have been picked up from the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, to try and resuscitate the economic situation and see that people are able to get back onto their feet and have a business moving on. However, it still remains a difficult time, and definitely it's only a case of how cautious people can be to ensure that they stay safe and indeed deal with the pandemic.
Well, thank you so much, Leon, for your time, and thank you so much for the update. Well, that was our ACE24 reporter Leon Senyange, live from Kampala, giving us an update on the fake vaccines that have been distributed to Uganda. Now moving on with our news in sports news. Zambia's trio of Patson Daka, Enoch Mwepu and Fashion Sakala are set to make their debut today